like to call this Whitfield County Board of Commissioners meeting to order for August 12th, 2024. All that are able, please stand. Commissioner Robbins will do our invocation followed by the pledge.
Let us pray. Our most kind and gracious Heavenly Father, we just thank you now for all the blessings that you have bestowed upon us. Dear Heavenly Father, we are awful grateful. We need to be grateful. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this county and what it means to us and citizens. Dear Heavenly Father, we just pray that we'll deliberate tonight, dear Heavenly Father, and do your business in the correct way. Now we pause now to pray for and remember all the soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen serving at home and abroad to protect our country. Go with us and guide us. Forgive us where we fail you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May the record reflect we have all 5 commissioners present and our quorum has been met. The commissioners and the public were made aware of our agenda approximately 6 days ago. Were there any changes or amendments to the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Staton to approve the agenda, second by Commissioner Robbins. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. There are just one consent agenda items related to our budget amendments from the prior meeting purchases. The minutes were also sent out last week, and there was one modification that is in your latest version that you now have from Friday. Were there any other adjustments to the minutes? Is there a motion to approve the minutes, the latest version? Motion by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Thomas. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. We do have 2 employees of the month, Jennifer Jones for May and Kathy Taylor. It's a little makeup from a previous month. And Kathy Taylor for the month of June, but I don't believe they are here tonight. So we will send them our congratulations via the streaming. My report, to start with, all the commissioners each give their own report. We had a lot of discussion about our planning and zoning and how do people find out about it, a lot of questions in our meeting back in July. I covered this in the planning and zoning meeting a couple of weeks ago, but just for those that weren't in attendance then. There's several different ways you can find out about a property. The first is our 3x4 foot sign that also is elevated. It's not just like a yard sign, it's actually several feet off the ground. I'll show you a picture of that in just a moment. It contains all the date and information of the hearing that's posted on the property, should be visible from the road. We also send U.S. mail notice to all adjacent property owners so they get it in their mailbox. We're required to run ads in the Daily Citizen. And at least for the last 3.5 years that I've been on the board, every time the paper has also written their own article, typically on the front page or maybe on the second page, related to these rezonings as well. For example, the ones that are on tonight have been written at least twice, I think, in the paper about those properties. That's not required by law, but the reporters typically will take the legal notice and convert it into an article on the front or second page. We also put it on our website, and that's posted usually 5 or 6 days before our meeting, such as tonight. So that is additional information, but you can check anytime. That's a long website, but it's really easy to click on whitfieldcountyga.com and then go to the planning and zoning and look at the agenda to read about all these properties as well. There's a picture of the actual sign that we post. Like I said, it's bright yellow. This is not a yard sign. This is 3 times or 2 times bigger than the typical yard signs you see out by the road. It also stands up quite a bit higher and is metal. One other thing that I would like to propose to the public and to the commissioners is July 2026 is our 250th anniversary of the United States being founded. We've had really good success with these citizens committees. So although I know 2026 seems like it's a long way out, if you're trying to book a venue or trying to do something for this coming July, 11 months from now, most of them are already booked up, whether it's our trade center, our different theaters, parks, and things like that. They're typically booked up a summer in advance. So Hopefully, we can form the committee this fall and get started. Also, there'll be fundraising as part of that, typically not funded by taxpayers, but hopefully we get some citizens and companies to donate to whatever this committee comes up as far as brainstorming different ideas. I personally remember the bicentennial. I don't know, Commissioner Robbins, if you remember the first centennial, but I remember the bicentennial. It was
It was an exciting event. We were real excited.
it was a good time. But I remember it as an elementary kid going through and, learning about it and being in the parades. Of course, we'll definitely have parades, but I'm sure there's a lot of creative ideas they can come up with. But we need to get started next year, like I said, not just for fundraising, but also to make reservations in our different parks and make sure that they're available for the 4th in 2026. So if people are interested, please reach out to us. And love feedback from the commissioners on this idea as well. But I think we will have no problem, unlike our other committees, finding people to be on this committee. So I think it'd be a great one for our staff to work with, a citizens committee, and really also coordinate with our cities, because I'm sure they'll want to do things, and we don't want to duplicate what they're doing or step on them from a scheduling time point either. Other commissioners? Commissioner Jones, you have anything to report you'd like on your mind?
Not right now.
Commissioner Thomas?
Nope.
Commissioner Staton?
Nothing to add other than it is still way too hot outside.
Yes. Commissioner Robbins?
There is a library board meeting this Thursday, so I'll be able to report on that next month. And then the only other thing I can think of to mention is that I have received a number of phone calls concerning tax assessments. And so I think that's been on a lot of commissioners' minds. I think maybe you've been contacted. I obviously have been contacted by a number, as well as you, by a number of sources. And so I just wanted to mention that. That's not necessarily a board report, except for the fact that the tax commissioner has been inundated with calls. And I guess it's time to mention that tax commissioner does not set the assessments.
Nor do we.
And nor do the Board of Commissioners, and we really have no direct or indirect involvement in tax assessments. But clearly, that's on a lot of people's minds because, in a few months, we'll be setting a millage rate based on those assessments. And I guess the most disturbing part was the fact to learn that there were over 1,100 commercial properties that actually decreased in value when a lot of residential properties went up in value, some as much as 50% or more.
100%.
Well, 100%, okay.
Doubled, yeah.
So we welcome calls. I think, obviously for our constituents, we are the first line to be contacted to ask what's going on so we can investigate it. But, they want to throw a blame, if you will, on the commissioners, but a number of folks really don't understand the process. So I think maybe that would, when we finally get a full, and also we're missing a board member. So presently they have the assessors have 4 board members, and they're down 1. I guess I said we don't have an indirect or direct involvement in the assessment process, but we do appoint board members, albeit they are not reporting to us, this board. So we really have no say-so on how they govern themselves. And I guess that's a matter of state legislature to deal with that. So they should also be contacted by our constituents to say, hey, fix this problem. It's a statewide problem. I assume it's a statewide problem. We know it's a problem in Whitfield County, and especially if, like Commissioner Sane put out a letter explaining his stance and his refusal to sign the digest. So anyway, I don't know where we go from here, but there are obviously a lot of upset folks, especially, and now the folks that are not upset are those 1,100 that got decreased of 800 by more than $50,000. So that's a travesty.
Yeah,
And,
hopefully they'll correct that. That's our goal.
Hopefully we can get that corrected. But no, I just wanted to mention that because I did get calls in the past month since they've been sent out, as well as many of you, I assume. So
Next report, our county administrator, Mr. Civic.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Lots to report, all good news. Three events that are coming up very soon. The first is the Scrap Tire Amnesty event. Now, that's not going to occur until Saturday, November 2nd, but we'll promote that until that time. That will take place from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Public Works Yard on Gillespie Drive. Basically, what this does, a lot of folks have these tires maybe in the backyard or whatever the situation may be. They're not only unsightly, but they're also a health hazard because they collect water and are breeding grounds for mosquitoes. What your county government will be doing is collecting those tires and disposing of them properly. So there's just a few ground rules, no commercial operations. Whatever the tires they may have, they should take care of that themselves. This is limited to Whitfield County residents, so bring proof of residency with you. Obviously, if you're driving a vehicle to the Public Works Yard, you're going to have a driver's license, so that would be one way to prove your residency. We're putting a limit of 10 tires per resident. These are going to have to be passenger vehicle tires, no commercial vehicle tires, no big 18-wheeler giant tires. The tires have to be off the rim. We're not going to be able to go ahead and do that. And you could also recycle motorcycle, bicycle, lawnmower tires. And that is Saturday, November 2nd. We'll promote this again in October so people know about it. We won't just promote it here, but on social media and hopefully with the news media as well. The next item is Romeo and Juliet at Prater's Mill. This last weekend, they had performances of probably Shakespeare's most famous play, Friday and Saturday, but they will be performing again this Friday and Saturday night at 8 p.m. The grounds open at 6 p.m. The price is $15 for adults, $10 for students and seniors. This is a play that has it all. It has romance, violence, dysfunctional families, everything you could possibly hope for. You can buy those tickets on the county's Facebook page or go to the Creative Arts Guild. You can purchase them there as well.
Is there a happy ending on it?
Spoiler alert, no.
I can't go. I'm out.
But there will be tears, I'm sure, in the audience. It'll be a good cry for some people. The next event is Battle of the Badges, not Badgers.
They're taking offense.
Well, that's probably the Wisconsin situation, and the Badgers aren't expected to do that well this year anyway. That will take place on Saturday, September 2nd at 10 a.m. at Whitfield County's own Riverbend Park. This is a round-robin tournament featuring the Whitfield County Sheriff's Office, the Dalton Police Department, Whitfield County Fire Department, Dalton Fire Department. We hope that this year we will break our streak and come out of our slump, which I'm hitting you guys in the back of the room. Start practicing now, please. There will be some fantastic raffle prizes, televisions and all sorts of good things. You'll be able to buy those raffle tickets at the event. T-shirts are also available. You can buy those in advance. That can be purchased on the county's Facebook page and on the first responders of Sheriff, Dalton PD, county and city fire departments. Val, I forgot to ask you, what's the price tag for those T-shirts? $15. And that's not only very reasonable, but I want to give a plug that all the money that's raised, and I mean all the money, from raffle and from the T-shirts, they go to 3 charities. Shop with a Hero, which is where police and fire take underprivileged kids out to buy Christmas gifts. For the Grace and Joy House, that provides foster care for our local children, and the Special Olympics, so you can't go wrong with that. And besides, it's a real good time. The last thing, and if you'll indulge me, Mr. Chairman, I forgot to mention this, and I didn't remember it until I was walking out the door. This month, Thursday, August 29th, at our senior center, they will have their annual luau, and this will be a genuine luau with our roast master, Chuck Fetzer, who's going to be out all the night before roasting this pig. It's a good time. It was a big success last year. I expect it will be an even bigger success this year. I also want to go ahead and mention, for those of you who are driving about, if you go down Cap Street, drive by the Senior Center, you'll see that we are well into the construction for the 1,600 square foot addition. The county's management and ownership of the senior center has been a rousing success. We're already expanding just a year and a half into it. I know Chuck's crew was out there. You've got it framed and you put up the roof trusses. We hope to have that open with a ribbon cutting either in November or December. And I just want to say all of these things exemplify the fantastic job Whitfield County government does for the people it serves. That's all I have.
Thank you. Our finance report.
Evening. We'll talk about June. In sales tax, we've collected $7.6 million through the end of June. We've collected $2.9 million through the end of June for vehicle tax, and our total revenue dollars collected is $20.9 million. We've expended $30.4 million in expenses for the year. Our total revenue year-to-date is $21 million, as I just said. Our projected year-to-date revenue, which is based on our budget, is $20.6 million. And the revenue for the same time last year was $21.4 million, so pretty flat, which is good.
I think it's mainly building permits. There was a couple of really large building permits last year, and those haven't reoccurred this year. But the rest of them, as you can see, are above expectations.
Expenditures, our year-to-date actual is $29.7 million, with our projected, based on budget, being $29.8 million. Again, those are very, very close. And for the same time last year, we are a little bit higher because it was $26.5 million. Our year-to-date revenue is $360,000 more than what we've budgeted for this year. Our year-to-date expenditures are $657,000 higher than budgeted through the end of June, and that created this $300,000 deficit, but much better than last month.
Yeah, we made a lot of progress. Didn't quite get back to even, but I'm sure we will next month.
So our actual fund balance as of June 30th is $26 million, and our projected fund balance based on all of the other factors for the end of 24 will be $35.3 million. And SPLOST 2020, which is coming to close very shortly, we have actual receipts through June of $86.2 million, and our project expenditures have been $54.6 million. And we've set aside the $27.1 million, that's the final October debt payment.
Any questions for our finance director?
Motion to accept.
Motion by Commissioner Robbins to accept the financials, second by Commissioner Staton. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. All right, it's time for our first public comments. Again, this is on any agenda items that we approved a few minutes ago. We kind of got a little out of control last time, which is my fault, not the speaker's fault. A few people that came up 2 or 3 times, so just a reminder, you can only come up 1 visit per public comment section. There is a 5-minute, which I think is more generous than anyone that I'm aware of around here, especially when you factor in we have 2 public comments, not just 1. And we are also not a court of law. We're not, we can't investigate, we can't put people in jail, so don't tell us if your neighbor is violating the law or elected official is violating the law. Go tell the district attorney or someone like that. We can't help you. We don't have any authorities for that. So I'll try and keep us to those guidelines. But would anyone like to speak on any agenda topic? Give us your opinion.
Darrell Long, live on Troy Lane. Something I'd like to see y'all look into. I got involved in this 2 years ago. If you're a man and you've got drug problems or alcohol problems, I can find you a place in Whitfield County. If you're a woman with children, it's a little harder, but I can find you a place in Whitfield County. If you're an elderly person, especially an elderly woman, there is no place for you in Whitfield County.
For shelter, you're talking
For
about?
shelter, for a place to live. And nationwide, 50% of the people that's living on the street are elderly. So, something we need to look into, gentlemen.
Any other public comments? Yep, go for it. Just tell us your name. Again, this is on agenda topics. So is it on the agenda or?
It's not on the agenda.
Okay, we have another section you come later. Yep. Anything on the 20 agenda items or so that we have? Okay. We have a presentation. It's the first agenda item from Malden and Jenkins on our 2023, closing out our financial audit.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the board. My name is James Bentz, and I'm a partner with Malden and Jenkins. I was the engagement partner for your 2023 audit. I'm going to go through, does it sound bad to you? I'm going to go through our presentation of the audit, which is the smaller packet that you all have. I'm not going to read every page to you, but kind of hit the highlights and certainly answer any questions you have. Starting on page 2, just as a refresher, Malden and Jenkins is the firm that conducted your audit. Your audit was based out of our Chattanooga office. We have 14 offices in 6 different states, and we work with local governments throughout the Southeast. We are a regional firm. We work with about 750 local governments. I served as the engagement partner. Each audit has 2 partner involvement. This year, Christopher McKellar served as our quality control review partner. On page 3, what I call our 30,000-foot summary of results. As your external audit firm, it's our responsibility to issue an opinion as to whether or not the financial statements presented by management are materially correct as presented. To do that, we conducted our audit in accordance with government auditing standards as well as generally accepted auditing standards. And through that process, we did issue an unmodified opinion, which is the clean opinion, stating that those financial statements are materially correct as presented. In our audit report, our audit does include the Whitfield County Department of Health. However, they are audited by a separate entity, and our opinion as it relates to their audit relies on their auditor's opinion. On page 4, as in the past for you all, anytime a local government has more than $750,000 of federal expenditures, you're required to have what's called a single audit, which is a compliance and control test on your type A high-risk major programs. We've gone through that assessment this year based on what the uniform guidance dictates, and the major programs that we tested were your coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds, more commonly known as the ARPA program, and then your community development block grant. And so both of those programs were audited in this year, and they both received an unmodified opinion with no material weaknesses in the internal controls related to compliance for those programs. So again, kind of the clean report, the thumbs up, if you will, for those 2 programs. On page 5, as part of the audit, we review assumptions and policies in place by the county's management. One item that I did want to point out this year, if you'll recall, last year we talked a little bit about GASB Statement Number 87, which changed the way leases were accounted for. This year, the county was required to implement a new GASB Statement Number 96, which evaluated how you all account for subscription-based information technology arrangements, so kind of the non-tangible long-term agreements. Historically, those were never really reported as a full liability, just on a cash basis when you paid for those arrangements. Management, very similar to GASB 87 in general for a lot of local governments. Management took the brunt of the implementation. There was the reevaluation of all of your contracts to determine if they do qualify as what's called a subita under GASB 96. And in the end, the actual numeric effect for you all was about $153,000 of right-to-use assets and related liabilities being brought onto the books for the year, December 31st, 2023. So certainly, a heavy lift for management with probably for you all minimal financial impact. I'll flip over to page 7. And again, on this, just to kind of reiterate, we are your external audit firm, so the preparation of the financial statements and all the information included in the financial statements is the responsibility of management, and we issue the opinion as to whether or not those statements are materially correct. On page 8, we've got just a few financial trend slides to look at, and then I'll also just kind of touch high level on the budget results for the year for the general fund. So obviously for most local governments, when you look to see how the year went, most people tend to look at your general fund as that's your main operating fund for any local government. You can see here for your general fund, very typical of most local governments in the state of Georgia, your property taxes and your local option sales tax are your predominant revenue sources for that fund. And on page 9, it'll kind of demonstrate the use of those funds. And so, again, very consistent with prior years as well as with other local governments. The bigger pieces of your general fund are used for public safety services being provided and general operations of the government. Like many other municipalities and counties here, the majority of your public works costs are paid for through your SPLOST fund, and so you'll see you have a small slice of that pie, but there's a lot of those costs being paid from other revenue sources rather than your general fund dollars. On page 10, you'll kind of see the trend of how the fund balance and the annual operating expenditures have performed for the last several years. Where your general fund has ended the year for the past 2 years has been with your fund balance representing about 60 to 65% of your annual operating expenses for the year. You know, sounds like a good number, but obviously as to keep in mind what that means really is your cash flow collections from property taxes all happen at 12/31 at the end of the year. So you're kind of at your cash high. And so while you may be sitting at 60%, that cash does flow and get used throughout the course of the year for your property tax revenue. That's not a monthly stream that you have coming in like a sales tax revenue. So I always, for 12/31s, like to reiterate, that's your property tax is kind of at its peak revenue season right there. And you'll see on page 11, when you look at kind of your revenues and your expenditures of the general fund, you see that your general fund has remained very well balanced in the revenues coming in and the expenditures going out. On page 12, and really jump into page 13, there are several new accounting standards coming out. Luckily, GASB has slowed down in the issuance of those standards, so we have 2 new accounting standards to really look at in the coming years, and they don't have the same time burden for management to implement as we've seen over the last couple of years with some of the other standards. The biggest one, which will potentially have some impact for the county, is this GASB statement number 101, and it deals with compensated absence. You all have historically reported compensated absence in accordance with the existing standards, and what this will now do is have you kind of relook at, is there any other termination benefits that are maybe non-cash that we do provide to employees at termination that need to be included in that accrual outside of what you already have as pensions. So this would be if you have any credited years of service that can be applied or any other potential benefits that maybe don't currently sit in your vacation and PTO accruals. So that will be applicable for the county for this 2024 year. And then on page 14, you'll see there's just a few, some are small, some are a little bit bigger pronouncements, which GASB is evaluating still. So they haven't come out in the form of an applicable statement yet, but they are on the roadmap of coming in the future. And then page 17 is really the last page I'll jump to in here. I know management utilizes this, but certainly anyone on the board who is not currently on this and interested, we do have free continuing education classes for all of our clients. These are just email links that go out to anyone on our list, and you can click and register and attend for free. It's a virtual day, 8 hours of CPE. So if you are interested and not currently on that list, please let myself or Debbie know, and she can get you in touch with me, and we'll get you signed up. With that, if you all have any questions, I'd be happy to answer any.
I know you said we didn't have any material findings, which is great. one step below that, I don't know if you call them significant or serious findings, recommendations. Were there any of those? I haven't read the full report yet since we just got it today, but do you recall any of those off the top of your head that weren't in this report as far as non-material, but maybe?
We have one instance of noncompliance, which dealt with some of the budgets for 2023. And so there were 4 funds which budgeted to use fund balance that was not available. So if your revenues and your fund balance available don't equal the expenditures that were budgeted, then you're out of balance with your budget. And so there were 4 funds which had that. However, your actual expenditures were not out of budget, so you, during the year, did comply with budget, so you did not overexpend your available resources. However, from a budget standpoint, those funds, your ARPA fund, SPLOST 2020, and SPLOST, your regular SPLOST fund, all had budgeted to use fund balance greater than was available.
So is there a true-up we should be doing, or how do we address that?
At this point, there's not. 2023 is
Well,
closed
for
and
the future,
finished.
to avoid
Yes.
in the
So
future.
going forward, really, if there are any, and really, it's just a mid-year evaluation that needs to happen in the budget process, because obviously you set your budget before the year's closed for the next fiscal year. So your fund balance may not be where management thinks it's going to be at the time budgets are set. And so during the course of the year, anytime you have budgeted use of fund balance, you just want to make sure that that fund balance was available, or amend the budget to reduce either expenditures or increase revenues, depending on which way cash flows would support.
Other questions?
You said you were the engagement partner, correct?
Yes, sir.
And with your advertisements, y'all do over 725, 750 audits.
Yes, sir.
What is the percentage of how many of them are late, like Whitfield County has been for 3 years straight?
Couldn't tell you that. I don't have a percentage number, sir.
Do you know, under like your domain or the Chattanooga branch, about how many are on time versus require an extension?
Significantly more on time than require extension.
Except Whitfield County. Okay.
Well, can you get that number and get it to us?
I could, yes, sir.
Yeah, I think, follow-up question.
Always be helpful, sure.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Sure.
Other questions from commissioners or staff on the audit? Okay. All right, thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
Motion to accept the
Oh,
financial.
we have one item on it.
We did?
Yep.
Okay.
This is just the presentation. All right, we have some old business related to our subdivision and another one on our stormwater erosion. I guess the good news is we get our agendas out in advance, but things happen in the meantime. So we did get some feedback over the course of the last 4 or 5 days after this agenda came out. So we need to do some further research and collect some more data on this. So we're trying to honor the feedback. So
I'll make a motion to postpone
motion by Commissioner Thomas
number 11 and 12.
to postpone both item 11 or 12, place those on hold for further review.
I'll second it.
Commissioner Thomas will second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. We'll revisit it. And for Commissioner Robbins, this is our item Agenda 13 to approve the financial audit for 2023 as presented. Motion by Commissioner Robbins. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. We will get this up on our website. We just had to have the presentation first, but it will be on our website for anyone to download and review, also for the public. All right, we've got 4 rezonings, but the first one requires a report first before we review it. If our acting fire chief could come forward. Chief Callaway, and review this one particular property, which was a duplex. It was the regional staff voted to deny it. The planning commission did vote to approve it, but they wanted this review before we voted. So have you had a chance to go out there and look at the property?
Yes, so myself and Chief Robinson, that handles a lot of inspections for me, we did go out and review the property. We did have some concerns with how tight packed that will create, or how congested that will make that property. International Fire Code basically lays out that you have to have a turnaround at the end of a road. And basically with having that many units down through there, we consider that a road. So that would require 96 feet area to create that cul-de-sac. And from what we've gathered, there's 83 feet down there, so there's not really enough room. And the fire code does state that that's any road in excess of 150 feet, and this is like 180. So it does hit that area.
So the length and also that it would have multiple dwellings on it.
Yeah.
Makes it in essence a road.
Yeah, it would be difficult for us to access that area for sure. So that's the concern that we have with it, with having that many residential units on that road. We feel like it would cause a problem having, not having the capability to turn around at the end of that road and having to go onto other people's property with the fire trucks to be able to turn around.
I went by there, it looks pretty tight already.
With
Yeah.
just
What-
one property, but
With what, I mean, there's
Yeah.
two houses and one
3
property.
or 4 dwellings.
Yeah, it looks like they're gonna tear down the garage behind the house, is what it looks like, and then they're gonna put the 3 duplexes behind the house. But it is gonna be extremely tight, and it's tight right now, and we would have to already use that driveway to access a dwelling on the back side of the property. It's just a weird way that property's cut up, having multiple residences where you access them from one driveway, and I think adding more is just gonna cause more congestion and more issues.
Yeah, there's a commercial property back there too.
Yeah, it actually has a separate drive to access it, but that drive does run into it.
Yeah.
We couldn't use that as a turnaround because it's got too tight of a pinch point right there.
And that's not really a road, that's a little driveway.
It's a driveway, yeah,
Right away.
yeah. And it is an easement on both sides, according to the plat that they submitted.
Thank you for going to check that for us. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Take item A on its own. You guys have other thoughts? I will add that the staff, for a different reason other than the emergency vehicles, thought that it was kind of creating an island because it's all commercial property around there. So they also were hesitant to add multifamily to a middle of a commercial district. But the planning did go ahead and vote for it. So I don't know what you guys are thinking, but I wasn't a huge fan of this one.
I'll make a motion on this one to not allow the zoning change from C2 to R7.
Motion by Commissioner Thomas to deny the rezone. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. Further discussion.
And that's to accept the staff's report.
Staff, not the planning.
To deny the rezoning.
Yeah, to deny it. Couldn't come up for a year in this case.
Call for the question.
All in favor, raise your hand or say aye to deny. Any opposed? That denial passes by a 4-0 vote. There are 3 others that are less controversial. One is a rezone with a special use permit for an event center off of Reed Road. I believe even their neighbor was more or less in favor of it because they were taking really good care of the property, and it would be quite a few acres from his property. And then another one from GA to R5, which I don't recall any controversy on, and a C2 to R2, converting a downgrade basically to single-family residential.
Motion to approve all 3 of them as presented.
Motion by Commissioner Staton to take the remaining 3, B, C, and D as a block. Second by Commissioner Robbins to approve. Is there any further discussion? All in favor to approve, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. We've got 2 annexations. The first one is Varnell. Only, I think, 1 structure on this property that I see, but there was no land use objections. Motion to approve Varnell annexation for a single parcel.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Staton, second by Commissioner Robbins. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. And Cohutta, a little bit bigger piece of property, 2 structures appears, but no land use objections to annex 2 parcels into Cohutta.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Commissioner Thomas to approve annexation, second by Commissioner Staton. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. We've got 3 transit buses to purchase. We'll be sending back 3 older buses and getting 3 brand
Mine
new
says
ones.
building and ground, 16.
Courthouse.
Oh, did I skip one?
Yeah.
I don't have
It's
that
on here.
slide. Let's see. Oh, okay, that's the buildings and grounds. Yes, that is an agenda item. I'm sorry, but there's been a change on that one. We're going to I think refurbish or trying to repair the existing courthouse units. So the staff has asked for us to delay that one. So if I could just have a motion to delay the building emergency purchase, we don't need to do that.
I'll make a motion to.
Yeah.
Motion by Commissioner Jones to delay the emergency purchase. Second by Commissioner Robbins. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Thanks for catching that. Now we're on to 17. The transit buses.
Let me ask you a question on the courthouse. Are they still without air conditioning then? Sir? No, sir, it's back up. It is? Okay, we're fine.
This is the new section. But I hope the judges are comfortable too. I'll hear from it. No, I know they are, so.
Okay,
But yeah, we think we can extend the life of the current system over there without having to purchase the new ones at this time. Back to the buses. So we've got 3 buses that will go back to GDOT, and we'll be purchasing 3 new ones. 90% of the cost is handled by the state. We do have a 10% match, but we have a other grant, transit grant, with that money in it that we have not spent. So actually, our part of the grant, our part of the match will come from a separate grant. So nothing will hit the general budget, but we still need to approve the purchase of 3 buses at $118,578 each.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Staton. Is there a second?
second.
Second by Commissioner Robbins. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. Speaking of grants, we've got a juvenile court grant. This one expires in October, so we're going to apply for a new one that runs through September of next year. Is there a motion to approve applying for the juvenile court grant for the new fiscal year? Motion by Commissioner Thomas. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Staton. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. Another grant. If you guys get tired of winning grants, just let me know. We'll quit applying for them. But until they say that money costs, this money costs 20%. We have to do a 20% match. But this will be a planning grant, help us do a safety study on Reed Road. There's been some really bad accidents, if you're familiar with that area. I think my wife has narrowly avoided some bad accidents, but this will help us come up with a plan as well as win future grants. We don't know what the exact amount that the project or the grant will be for. The maximum is $500,000, but it could be less. But our match, regardless of what it is just 20%. But we do need to apply this month if we're going to. Is there a motion to apply for this federal Safe Streets grant? Motion by Commissioner Robbins. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Staton. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
Hang on.
Okay.
Kent, how long would it take if we ended up widening that road? How long of a process would you guesstimate?
In years,
Yeah.
a lot of them.
Your question was if the project turned out to be a widening? The answer is it would depend on if there are federal funds involved, and most likely there would be. The federal process with funding coming through federal highway, it's a 7-year probably process
Wow.
to go through the
The sooner
environmental.
you start, the better you're going to be. But
Yeah.
yeah, if GDOT takes 5 years, the federal government's going to take longer. Yeah.
Yeah. The environmental studies alone would be a 2 to 3 year process.
Okay.
Of course, they may recommend something else, but
For smaller intersection type improvements along the route, if it weren't a full-scale widening of the road, it would be a shorter timeline.
like where that flashing red light or flashing yellow, that's where they have a lot of those accidents, I know.
And I would point out too that this is Reed Road all the way to Lake Cathy. It includes that north section between Highway 201 and Lake Cathy.
Okay.
We sometimes forget about that section, but there's been a lot of construction out there.
There's
and
a lot of traffic out there, yeah,
yeah.
and it narrows, yeah, quite a bit, that road does.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Any other questions or discussion? All in favor of the application, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. This is the scrap tire program that was mentioned earlier, and there will be no charge to the residents. That's why the proof and the up to 10, that's why we set the limit, so they can bring up to 10, there'll be no charge. I don't know if we really stressed that the last time. But we need to submit the application so the county can get reimbursed for our cost of collecting and disposing of these tires. Won't be any charge to the residents to drop them off up to 10 passenger tires or smaller.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Staton to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. Our lease with the current bank building, tenant called, we're the tenant of Triple E, I should say. That's the leaseor. There's 2 or 3 elements to this amendment. We're not extending the term necessarily, but we have the right to move into this additional space that will be opened up after October 1st. If we like, we have the option to purchase, which expires October 1st, which I don't think we'll be executing, but it's just to reiterate that that expiration will occur. And the elevator is also an element that needs maintenance and upgrading, also to be ADA compliant. Those are the 3 items in the amendment. I know there was some discussion about these 2. If we do the elevator, the cost quote that's in the agreement is $395,000, and we pay 56% of that cost. We do not pay the full amount, but that could go up October 1st. Our percentage could go up, so that's the reason to do that one earlier rather than later. I think we have had some people that have been caught and trapped in there that had to be freed, so we don't want to have that happen, especially to anyone with heart issues or seniors or anyone else. So it does need some work for sure, the elevator.
And that, the 3,300 feet, Bob, is that what we had talked about? First enter into the foyer area, we'll say, if you walk straight back?
Yeah, so if you come into the bank main entrance on Hamilton Street, into that lobby, to the right is Wells Fargo Bank. That's their area. Right in front of you is doors for commercial banking. Wells Fargo stopped using that space when the pandemic hit, so it's been vacant. So we would go ahead and take over that space. If you want, I can arrange for you to take a tour of it. It's pretty decent space.
Yeah, I'd like to look at it
Okay.
first.
I don't want to vote on it till we see it.
Can we delay that date, the effective date on that expansion?
I don't know if
Or
that's
just strike that portion of it? And revisit it as a 5th Amendment or 6th Amendment, I suppose?
So, right now, the county was obligated to take that space based on a prior lease agreement as of June 30th. The landlord came to us and indicated that actually Wells Fargo still had that space leased until September 30th. And so that was the reason for this. If you're
Want to delay it further?
rethinking that whole process, then, that would have to be another conversation, negotiation with the landlord.
Well, I'd like to see it and know what we're gonna do with it. Maybe I missed something. And if I did, I apologize, but if there's any way we can, what are we planning on doing with it? The 3297.
Well, the space that the county occupies right now on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th floors, to be charitable, sometimes is rather shabby, as you know, from being up there. the space on the ground level is more appropriate for what is expected for office space. What we intend to do is to move offices for people who frequently interact with the public, such as Blanca and Jean and other folks. That would serve two purposes. Number one, it would make it easier for the public to go ahead and access the services. And it would create it would present a better image for Whitfield County government to the public. One of the things that we talked about is there's a very large conference room on that floor that we would use for meetings that we have either with our city counterparts or various meetings that we have rather than the present conference room space that we have. And I know you've been in there, so that would be an improvement as well.
It would also cost us more percentage-wise on these improvements too.
Right, after October 1st, after we take that space, which is why we want to go ahead and do the elevator repairs now, so the price doesn't go up.
But if Robert says we've already agreed to this, how are we backing out now?
Well,
Other than the timeframe, I guess.
we don't agree to it until you agree to it. So as the governing body, then Robert and I have agreed to it, and that's why we're bringing it before you.
Well, no,
No, in the previous lease
In a-
amendments.
the previous list, yeah.
in a previous lease agreement. So, again, if the board is now interested in not taking that space, we would have to go back to the landlord and have that
Changed.
discussion. That's not what this document does.
Right.
This document was merely to
Change the date.
move the date down 3 months.
Would you guys feel comfortable doing the second two bullets, and then we'll check with the landlord if we can change the date or delete it permanently, whatever we decide to do on the annex or the small.
Yeah, so I'd like to know, if we haven't already, what kind of money are we talking about to refurbish it to fit our
It'd
needs?
be minimal, if anything. I mean, it's already furnished, that's part of the agreement, so it's, turnkey operation. And if I could throw something out, and Robert, correct me if I'm wrong, would it be possible for commissioners and groups of less than a quorum to tour the space, and we could take care of this at the September BoC meeting?
It's not October yet, but
Yes, although
I'm worried about that.
whatever you decide, you may want to have the elevator issue in mind because you may want to go ahead and approve that.
Well, the
so that can-
elevator needs to be done anyway.
Right, and the purchase is just noting that it expires. We're not required to purchase it, obviously, I don't think we plan to, so that'll just
Now,
expire.
How long is this lease agreement for? I keep looking here, because we just got this.
We're not changing the extension, or the lease termination.
Right,
date.
it was 3 years back when we did it.
Yeah, that doesn't change with this.
Okay,
And the price we pay each month doesn't change either, so,
okay, other than after
the percentage, yeah. but
percentage
not
and
the monthly
and the
amount.
percentage of the utilities.
That's right.
But I'd just like to see what we're getting.
Yeah, I would too. I'd say go ahead and do the elevator and let's wait on this till next month,
Okay.
the rest of it.
Motion to strike the amount, the section related to the expansion, but allow me to sign the rest of it.
Or if I could make a suggestion to lay over the section on the expansion, because we could revisit that in September.
Yeah, I was gonna strike it out.
Okay, oh, I see,
And
okay.
then we could have another amendment for just that section. Does that work? I need a motion to.
I'll make a motion.
Motion to just approve the sections for me to sign related to the purchase price and the elevator equipment. Is there a second? By Commissioner Thomas, is there a second?
Reluctantly.
Commissioner Jones, seconds enthusiastically. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote, and we'll look at the expansion next month. This will be another very exciting topic as well. The parking deck, we paid one payment last month. That was the second. This is the third and final payment for the parking deck. So I believe it's nearing completion, and this will definitely be our final payment as well of $83,072. That was, again, part of a previous agreement, nothing about the one we just discussed.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Staton to approve the final payment. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Thomas. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. I think this is actually a ratification. I think I already signed this, didn't I? Yeah, so I've already signed this, but need you to ratify it. No money involved, just our normal equal employment opportunity plan and utilization that we have to turn into the federal government Department of Justice.
Motion.
Motion to ratify by Commissioner Robbins. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Staton. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. A little bit more happier topic here is our LMIG. So we're up to over 1.5 million from GDOT. That's going to help us get over the 30 plus miles. That was our goal this year. And we just need to approve receiving this grant fund from GDOT.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Jones. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Staton, Robbins, sorry. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. We've got 5 vehicles to declare surplus, some of them 15, some of them 20 years old. I think they've definitely gotten their life out of it, but we will auction them off at Gov Deals. Motion to surplus 5 vehicles.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Jones. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Staton. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. All right, we've got our MPO, our Metropolitan Planning Organization, has a grant, which again is an 80%. We just had to provide 20%. And we have quoted out, had several different bids, but Grisham Smith came back with $299,000. This is a required 25-year plan. I don't know how you plan out that far, but it is required. And thankfully, somebody else will cover 80% of the cost of that, $240,000 to be exact. Is there a motion to award that contract to Grisham Smith for $299,000?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Thomas. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. As you've known, we've been expanding the sewers. We actually have sewers already past these 4 fire stations that have older septic systems that are giving us some trouble. We have a updated quote. We opened the bids on Friday, and we did find one update since Friday that we will have to replace a pump at one of the stations. So that brings the low bid plus the pump to $147 and $40, which we can use ARPA funding to put these stations on the sewers.
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Robbins. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Staton. Any further discussion?
That includes all 4 stations?
All 4
1,
for that
2,
price, yes.
7 and 11.
And the one
Total.
pump that we need, yes.
Okay.
Mhm. Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed, nay. Passes on a 4-0 vote. All right, we're ready for our second public comments. I know the one lady would like to speak, but this can be on any topic. There's no limitation other than just the 5 minutes, and you can only come up one time.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Sandra Stone Ellis, and I want to thank you for being able to speak concerns again about the decisions made by the Board of Commissioners related to the destruction of historic Carbondale community. I know I'm beating a dead horse, so to speak, but please bear with me. I do have a point to be made. We know your decision is final related to rezoning because we were told the only way to appeal was to go before Superior Court. You were told, and as you already knew, the citizens of the Carbondale community do not have the money to fight this decision, which in opinions of many was very wrong. You were told of all the concerns for that area, including safety. All the truck traffic will impact Carbondale, 41 Highway, and the Tilton community as well. And I did happen to read that Tilton got the signage that they needed. That's a good thing. So I'm glad that that happened. You have already heard from the people who live in both communities about the safety concerns. but it kind of fell on deaf ears. You were told about the issues with notification and the improper placement of the zoning sign, but there seems to be no regard for the people who live, work, and pay property taxes there. We already have the Carbondale Business Park, which houses the huge Q-Cell operation. We have a large pilot truck stop there. And we have engineered floors on Lower Dugout Road, which flows over into the Red Wine Cove area. Now we have the rezoning directly on Carbondale Road, Cinch and Dixie Bricks, which was approved by this board to M2 Heavy Manufacturing without even looking into the concerns of the communities impacted. It is my understanding that Carbondale Road is to be widened from I-75 interchange all the way down to Red Wine Cove Road. So my question is, when is enough enough? You are allowing the south end of Whitfield County to become an industrial concrete jungle. I know in the great scheme of things, my voice is insignificant, but I was born and raised here and lived a good portion of my life in Carbondale, as well as family members who are still living there. I never thought I would see a decision like this one. I have always obeyed the law. I have been a property owner. I have paid taxes, and I am a registered voter. I have seen many good things and many bad ones, but this is the latter. It seems that politicians are in the pockets of developers, as we are currently seeing throughout Whitfield County. Politicians stand to gain from their elected positions. They always have and they always will. Please be clear. I am not accusing any of you fine gentlemen of such. However, it seems money talks and always manages to come out on the winning side. You have stated this is not true, but indeed it is. That's why Carbondale has lost this battle. The betterment of the south end of the county and its residents has never been a concern in the past for improvements. Past board members ignored this area until it saw and now sees that changing it into a concrete jungle with manufacturing needed to be the agenda. This has become the apparent objective. This is not betterment in any form. It's destruction, no matter whose lives it affects. At this point, our only hope for the future of communities like historical Carbondale is that when these decisions about rezoning are made, you will give consideration to the people you will impact with your decisions. I don't think I need to remind you that as elected officials, your job is to serve all the people and not just big business and big money. The point driven here and ignored is that people were not properly and adequately advised about rezoning to M2 heavy manufacturing. The citizens were not and did not have proper notification, regardless of your excuses to the contrary. You have even said that you would not like this to happen in your communities, and none of you actually live on the south end of the Whitfield County, so your concerns seem to be elsewhere. You, the board, may think that this is a win for the county, but there are many who disagree. It is the opinion of many that this was a failure on your part to serve the people of the Carbondale community and the south end of Whitfield County as elected officials. We will be taking our concerns related to zoning and appeal time limits to state legislatures. There needs to be a change on this whole process, and we need leaders who are interested in more than big business and big money, who actually want to serve their constituents. I thank you for your time.
Any further public comments? Yep, go forward.
Hello, My name's Madeline Smith. I brought visual aids for the five of you, if that's okay. This is about the tax assessor's office. Again, I know, you're probably all tired of hearing about it. I know Mr. Robbins spoke earlier and said, you know, you appoint the Board of Tax Assessors, but you don't really, you're not over them. Well, I spent all day July 26th on the phone with Atlanta, and they said for them to come in and investigate or do anything, that my Board of Commissioners has to invite them. I have the fellow's contact information.
Did you say your name? Sorry.
Madeline Smith. His name is Joseph Adams. He's the compliance specialist at the Georgia Department of Revenue. But I just wanted to talk to you about, it's not just the fact that a bunch of people have 100% increase in their taxes. If you look at page 1 in here, let's talk about consistency in numbers. All right, this is all on East Morris Street. If you'll see the highlighted area, 0.26 acres. Okay, turn the page over. Land value, $85,000. Okay. Next page, or next 2 pages over, 0.28 acres. Next page, $85,000. Okay. 0.4 acres on the next page, also $85,000. These are all within a minute's drive. And next page, 1.14 acres, somehow valued at $48,000. These are all within a minute drive of each other, maybe a 5-minute walk. Okay, so we're not consistent. That's okay. If you go over to your pink tab, let's talk about fair market value. As far as I can tell from Georgia Code 48-5-1, fair market value is supposed to be used when assessing taxes. All right, if you'll flip on over, in 2017, this house on Tibbs Road sold for $21,000, or $210,000. But somehow, from 2020 onward until 2023, it assessed at $166,000. I'm not understanding it, but I'm not great at math. All right, how about conflict of interest? If you'll see your green tab, the highlighted portion, Hayes Jonathan. Jonathan Hayes is taxes. He's the real estate manager for our tax assessors. But somehow he's his own staff contact. Now I've been told if I appeal my taxes, that's who I have to talk to, that's who will change it. But for the past 3 years, he's been his own staff contact. Now we have 6 people that do, 5 of them just do residential appraisals. He's not one of them. Why does he not have someone else doing this for his house? All right, if we go on over to our orange tab, this is my favorite one. I love this one. This one's fun. Christopher Blessing. I'm not going to tell you what he does until I get done with this. If you go through and do the math on the highlighted numbers, okay, then he's overpaying his taxes by $1,400 this year. If we can't, and he does quality assurance for the tax assessor's office. If they can't do the simple math to get the guy who does quality assurance taxes correctly, I think someone needs to look into something.
Believe me,
What are you saying
we're,
on him?
we're trying, believe me.
What are you saying on Chris? Just, I didn't quite catch on Chris, but I know who he is.
Chris Blessing, if you,
What do you say, you're overpaying? What do you mean?
yes, he's overpaying. If you do the actual math on it, like the $81,000, if we just look at city school tax, millage rate is 0.008. According to my math, and now I'm not great at math, but he should be paying $650.18. Now, I just used a calculator, I double-checked my work, but that's a big difference from $1,700. So if we have people in there that cannot handle simple math, and one house is being charged over $1,400 in the wrong direction, how many other houses are getting the same thing? You know, these are kind of tough economic times for a lot of people. But the state told me that much like a vampire, they have to be invited in. They have to be invited in by you guys. I would like for you to invite them to investigate our Board of Tax Assessors and all the people that work in their office, because I cannot prove it today, but I know of several people that are renting houses, but somehow the people that own them are getting the homestead exemption. And Mr. Jones, your father gets the homestead exemption. I noticed this year he got $100,000 off. He was supposed to get $250,000 off.
We did.
Well, it's 40%. All the county properties are 40%.
I understand that, but he was supposed to get $250,000 off his 40%. Didn't happen. How many more mistakes are they making? I know a lot of these people, this is their full-time job. If I screwed up this much at a full-time job, I'd be fired. It's not just one or two places. You pick me a road in Whitfield County, I'll find someone that's got messed up taxes.
Yep. We have been, we'll just say we have been in touch with the Department of Revenue, so that's all I'll say at this
Okay.
point. But I appreciate your detailed analysis there.
Okay.
You're not wrong.
Well, thank you, and I'd love to hear more about this when we finally get something going with it.
Yep.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Other public comments? Any other comments? Is there a motion to adjourn? Motion by Commissioner Jones.